All right, let's talk about juicing. I mean, you see it everywhere, right? It's pitched as this ultimate health hack, but is it really? Or is it just a whole lot of hype? Well, today we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to break down the science thanks to a really detailed analysis by Professor Lin. So let's dive right in. And you know, the whole reason we're even digging into this is because of a real question we got. Someone wrote in, worried that their friend was getting, well, kind of sucked into all the hype. They asked for a serious scientific look at the claims. And that is exactly what we're going to do today. Okay, so let's start with the big one. The number one claim you always hear about juicing. This idea of living enzymes. It sounds pretty magical, doesn't it? It's really the cornerstone of the whole raw food and juice movement. But what does the actual evidence, the science, have to say about it? So here's a sales pitch, right? The idea is that raw juice is just packed with these special, powerful plant enzymes that are going to supercharge your health. They'll do things that enzymes from cooked food supposedly can't. And I mean, that sounds amazing, but before we can even figure out if that's true, we need to ask a really basic question. What even is an enzyme? Okay, so it's a type of protein, and its whole job is to make chemical reactions happen faster. Super important for, every living thing. But the most important part of that definition, the thing you really need to remember for this whole discussion, is that one little word, protein. An enzyme is a protein. Got it? Good. Because here's what happens the second that juice hits your stomach. Think of your stomach as this incredibly powerful acid bath. Its whole job is to break down proteins. So those special living enzymes from the juice, which remember are just proteins, they don't stand a chance. Your stomach acid completely dismantles them, breaks them down into their basic parts. Poof, they're just gone. Their special job is over before they can even get started. All right, so the whole living enzyme thing, it just doesn't line up with, basic human biology. So let's put that myth to the side for a second. What about the rest of it? When you juice a fruit or vegetable, what are you actually missing out on compared to just, eating the whole thing? And wow, the difference is pretty huge. The number one thing that gets tossed out is fiber, pretty much all of it. And fiber is so important. It's what helps you feel full, what we call satiety. Without it, you're just drinking a concentrated hit of free sugars. That's all the sugar from the fruits, but it's been disconnected from the fiber that would normally slow down how your body absorbs it. Oh, and yeah, you're also not doing any chewing, which, as we'll see, is a bigger deal than you might think. And look, this isn't just some theory. A big study just published in 2024 in a major medical journal really connects the dots here. It makes perfect sense, right? You've got very little that makes you feel full, but a whole lot of easy-to-absorb sugar. That means it's super easy to drink a ton of calories without even realizing it. And surprise, surprise, the study found a significant link between drinking 100% fruit juice and gaining weight, for both kids and adults. Okay, and let's go back to that chewing point for a second, because this is honestly fascinating. Who would have thought? It turns out that the simple physical act of chewing your food is actually good for your brain. For real, research has shown links to better cognitive function. We're talking about something that helps maintain your brain's health, and that's a benefit you get absolutely none of when you're just drinking juice. So this all leads us to the more, let's say, extreme end of the juicing world. We're talking about the miracle cure stories. You've probably seen them online. They're often really powerful, very emotional, but as they say, extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. So let's take a closer look at a couple of these, really put them under the microscope. So here's a real-life example that Professor Lin came across. You have this person claiming that they used a regimen of vegetable and fruit juice to save their wife, who was supposedly dying. They even offered up what they said was a hospital record as proof. I mean, that's an incredibly powerful story, right? But then, Professor Lin actually looked at the evidence. And guess what? The hospital record wasn't for his wife at all. It was for a 78-year-old man. And this is just a perfect example of why you have to be so careful with personal stories, with anecdotes. Without real, verifiable proof, they can be incredibly misleading. It really all comes down to critical thinking. Okay, how about another one? The whole celery juice craze. You've definitely heard of this. Well, where did it come from? The whole thing was kicked off by someone who claims he talks to a divine spirit. And apparently this spirit told him back in 1975 that celery juice was the answer. So right from the get-go, the origin of this massive health trend, it's not based in science, it's based on a supernatural claim. So what happens when we put the supernatural claims aside and ask, what does the actual medical science say? Well, when researchers have looked at celery, they've found one thing. There's a possible link to helping lower blood pressure. And that's interesting. But that's it. That's the only potential benefit found in the literature. All the other miracle cures it's supposed to have, there's just no scientific evidence to back them up. Okay, so we've tackled the myths, we've compared juice to whole foods, we've looked at some pretty wild miracle claims. Where does that leave us? What's the final science-based verdict here? After tearing down all the hype, is there ever a good reason to choose juice? All right, let's just quickly recap the potential downsides. We know it's been linked to weight gain because of all those free sugars. We know it's missing almost all of the essential fiber. You lose out on those surprising cognitive benefits of chewing. And here's one more to add to the list. All that concentrated sugar and acid isn't great for your teeth either. It can lead to dental erosion and cavities. But, and this is really important, this doesn't mean juice is always a bad idea. Professor Lin's analysis is very clear on this. It can actually be a really useful tool in very specific cases. Think about someone who has trouble chewing or swallowing, maybe an elderly person, or someone with a really poor appetite. For them, juice can be a great way to get in some much-needed nutrients. And yeah, like we mentioned, for a targeted goal like helping with hypertension, certain juices like beetroot or celery might have a role to play. And that brings us to what is probably the single most important point of this whole analysis. If you take away just one thing, let it be this. Juicing is not a nutritional upgrade. It is not magically more nutritious than just eating the whole fruit or vegetable. In fact, in most situations, because of everything you take out, especially the fiber, it's actually less nutritious. So we'll leave you with this final thought. Really, this whole story about juicing is a fantastic case study. It's about learning to tell the difference between slick marketing and actual science. It's about hearing a powerful personal story and then taking a step back and asking, okay, but where is the evidence? So the next time you're scrolling online and you see a post about some miracle superfood or a revolutionary new diet, what's the first question that's going to pop into your head to help you figure out what's real? Thanks so much for joining us.